E3 is back, and hopefully with the addition of some long-awaited news on the sequel to Breath of the Wild. It hasn't outright been said that there will be coverage of this highly anticipated game, but given that it's been almost 2 years since we last got news, which was the reveal trailer itself, it is a safe enough bet to make that we will get to hear more. This can be further backed as IGL Numa himself said at some point this year we will get news. Nintendo confirmed that they will be presenting at E3 this year as well, so if you connect the dots, more on this game is likely. So in a fun and interactive way to begin building some E3 hype, I thought I would go over some of your guys' theories and ideas for the sequel, and give my thoughts. So be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in to get featured right here. And let's take a look at some of the most interesting, most wacky, and just out there theories and ideas regarding the sequel. First up, we have the idea of there being an abandoned underground city below Hyrule, giving more insight on the Zonai. Now this is one which I've heard a few times and really love. Obviously it is just an idea, as we don't have any evidence to suggest that there is a literal city down here, and honestly I think it is a little far-fetched, but fun to think about. Just imagine actually learning about the fan favourite Zonai tribe. It would be really cool if they did live deep below the surface at some point in time and have an entire city to show for it. Exploring this area would be surreal, and who knows, maybe it could even be made into some sort of dungeon, similar to how we had the Sheikah Trials in the form of shrines. Now, we'd get the Zonai Trials, hidden away within their former home. And hey, maybe the answer to whatever is going on here could be found in this city. Next up, revisiting old dungeons. Now, I assume you mean dungeons that have appeared in past games, such as the Forest Temple or Arbiter's Grounds for example, not simply just old dungeons. This is an idea I find interesting. I don't think that we should see one-for-one versions of these former dungeons, rather reimagined versions under the same name. That would be really cool. The likes of the Lakebed Temple appearing deep below Lake Hylia would be a super cool dungeon to bring back. Same goes for the Arbiter's Grounds. I think it would be a little tricky to implement them into this world, as a lot of past dungeons were very location based, such as the Snow Peak Ruins, but other dungeons like the Goron Mines could be dug into, or maybe even the Fire Temple showing up behind a lava fall, giving us access to a now ancient dungeon that has been untouched for Hylia knows how many years. See what I did there? Which would serve as a suitable reason as to why they don't appear one for one, as to their original versions, creating a new challenge. The only potential issue I see with this is having the Divine Beast effect. Those dungeons felt a little recycled after Doom 1 or 2. Maybe it would work better if we revisit them, but not for the actual purpose of being a dungeon. Rather, we need to recover something from within in a sort of side quest. It's a tricky one and I think it is rather unlikely anyway, but it would be very cool to see. Next, Tingle versus Beedle. Yes. Next, petting dogs. There is only one correct answer to this idea, and that is no. Because we should also get cats and be able to pet them. In that case, the answer would then be yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my god, yes. This is a necessary feature for this game to be a success in my book. Next up, old enemies to return. To be specific, Poes, Gyptos, Dekus, Dodongos, and Darknuts. Honestly, I couldn't agree more. These are some of the most classic Zelda enemies, Poes and Darknuts especially for me. Yeah, Breath of the Wild has some great enemies, old and new, but bringing back this lot would be awesome. Poes and Gyptos would really fit the underground vibes this game has so far. Exploring crypts or tombs and being swarmed by a bunch of undead enemies. That is a classic theme in Zelda, which Breath of the Wild lacked. Dekus would be a nice little addition, but I don't really know how their return would be explained to be honest. Same goes for the Dodongos, as we know they lived on and in Death Mountain. I mean, maybe if we got to explore some abandoned mines as I mentioned earlier, we could maybe find the Dodongos in there. And my favourite of the bunch, Darknuts. I love this enemy, especially in Twilight Princess. I honestly don't know how their return would be explained, but if they did somehow return, I'd be very happy. Next up is a little suggestion that Heiteno Village should become the new capital of Hyrule, at least temporarily. I suppose this is a sort of theory when you think about the factors going into it. I personally dig this one, and could genuinely see something like this happening. Hyrule Castle and town have been destroyed, and given the population of Hyrule, there isn't really a purpose to fix them or repopulate that area yet. I mean, the population has literally increased by one person. Zelda. But going into the sequel, surely they will need somewhere to set up base if you like, and whilst Kakariko Village would be a good bet, as Impa is there, Hateno Village may be more ideal, especially if we are talking about making it the new capital. It is far out of reach from whatever dangers may still lay in central Hyrule. It has tons of open space to build on, for new structures such as a home or base for Princess Zelda, and beginning the re-establishment of Hyrule. That, and it is the largest Hylian-based settlement following the Calamity. They have a decent livestock, beautiful scenery, and a very good way of life here. It would fit really well if you ask me. Oh, and Pura lives here, which is a bonus. Next idea? The corpse we see in the trailer is actually wait, what? I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, right? Anyway, next comment, playable Link and Zelda. Now this has heavily been talked about ever since the reveal trailer. The idea of Zelda being playable is something I love, but only if it is done right, which is kinda hypocritical of me to say because I couldn't actually tell you what right means to me. I just feel it is something that if done too much or too little would make her playability feel lackluster and wasted potential. The comment also suggests that she would play a sort of mage role, which is a super dope idea. We know Princess Zelda is more known for her powers, so this makes sense. Maybe we will get a more in-depth look at what she is capable of, as we are so used to seeing her a few times throughout the games, maybe busting out a couple of moves to help beat the final boss, and that's it. I am 100% on board with Playable Zelda, I just hope it is done to the best of Nintendo's ability. Next up, helping your friends online. I assume you mean in terms of co-op and or multiplayer. Now this is something like the last comment that has been heavily discussed among fans. I personally think it is an interesting idea, but I'm more on the side of against co-op and or multiplayer, but wouldn't boycott the series or anything if it did happen. I think it's more that the Zelda series has always been very single player focused, connecting with Link and projecting yourself to the hero. I don't do change well personally, at times, so I think the thought just overwhelms me a little, but would probably be really fun if it happened. If it does though, I'd like it to be completely separate from the main game. Say you have Breath of the Wild, that's the main game, but you also have Breath of the Wild Online, a separate alternative story within the game, where you can take on a slightly different storyline with a friend or two. Boss battles and side quests together would be so awesome. Next up, Leviathan boss battles. This is an incredible idea. The basis is that Ganondorf uses the malice to corrupt the bones of these long dead titans, and similar to the effects of the Blood Moon, just amplified by 10,000, gives them a new coat of flesh and a malicious aggression towards the hero. Now this would be creative. Forget bringing back traditional dungeons and bosses for a moment and just think about this idea. Imagine walking up to one of these titans' remains and it suddenly starts curdling with malice and lifting from its resting place, only to screech in horror at Link and prepare to attack. How does the hero survive this? Hopefully, we find out. Next, bring back the Twilight. Okay, first of all, Twilight Princess is my favourite video game, but this isn't gonna happen. I'd love for it to happen, but I honestly can't see it. Maybe I'll be proved wrong, but I doubt it. I love the idea though. Next, introducing Blacksmiths. Not just that, but every race having their own designated blacksmith, which we can bring blueprints to and presumably materials in order to create race-specific armor, similar to the Zora garments. I've actually talked about this a few times on the channel, and all I can say is yes, but also include weapons upgrading and repairing. Oh, and maybe some customization. That'd be cool too. Next comment, bring back the double claw shots / hook shots. God yes, I love these things in Twilight Princess. The hook shot was cool in Ocarina of Time, but boy did the claw shots bring a whole new level to it. Especially in the City in the Sky, where they were so incredibly utilized in my opinion. The only issue I could see with this is where exactly would we use them? We can already climb everywhere without much hassle. Perhaps they could be a dungeon specific item, or useful in the underground, who knows. All I do know is that I'd welcome these bad boys back in a heartbeat. Oh, and there was another comment related to this suggestion that Robbie could actually make them with them being water powered. Very good for the environment. Hydro claw shots. I love it. Next, it will be a game. What a brilliant theory this is. Has someone not thought of this already? I gotta make a new theory video after this. Next up, Ganondorf talks. Similar to Playable Zelda and co-op mode, this has been heavily discussed. Breath of the Wild introduced full-on voice acting to the mainline series and has been mostly well received. Regardless of where you stand on the voice acting, the question now with Ganondorf being shown off is, will he be voice acted or remain like Link? Well, Ganondorf would suit either option in my opinion. I mean, in the past we've heard him laugh and grunt a little, but honestly I could see voice acting working, as long as it's not some cringy, over-the-top villain voice, and actually a deep, grisly kind of voice which actually fits how he looks. Even more so if the Gerudo King remains in this state. Now for the final comments. The most interesting in my opinion. Ganondorf is not the villain. I had several comments on this, so many that I couldn't even include all of them. Two in particular, which I will be referring to, with the first one being on screen right now. This idea is very interesting to me, as Ganondorf is the big bad of the Zelda series. Sure, Demise started it all, and Ganon has appeared more, but let's be honest, Ganondorf is the most well known. The other comment I saw suggested that Ganondorf himself isn't evil, rather, the green mysterious hand holding him down is. Is this hand the answer to why the King of Evil is, well, evil? What or who is this hand, and what does it want with Ganondorf? Is the hand perhaps using Ganondorf as a body to control? Is this hand connected to Demise himself? Whatever the case, they suggested that Ganondorf actually turns out to be good this time around, and that the hand is the true enemy of this story. That would be awesome, especially since most of us have the impression this hand is in some way gonna help Link, possibly latch onto him, but what if the hand is really out for blood? The blood of the hero and goddess. With that concludes the comments, but we're not done yet. Before wrapping up, I'd like to go over both my personal E3 predictions real quick, and secondly, thank all of you for your amazing suggestions. There were so many amazing comments, and some that, whilst awesome, I just didn't have time to include in this video. Maybe I'll do another one if you guys enjoyed it. Now, as for my E3 predictions, I honestly think that we'll be getting a new trailer for the game. We know that there is also a planned Treehouse event, but we don't know what for. It could be for the upcoming Skyward Sword remake, which I think is going to be the case, but I do strongly believe that we'll see a new trailer. Maybe at a push with some developer input and a name for the game. If we do get a new trailer, or just information in general, you know I'll be on it right away. Thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing. We are so damn close to 100k, it would be highly appreciated. Let me know your theories and ideas for the sequel down below in the comments. I reply to nearly every comment, so look out for my replies. As always, a huge special thank you goes out to all of my supporters across Patreon and YouTube, with special mention going to new supporter, Brianna. If you'd like to join them and get yourself some behind the scenes looks at my work, a shout out upon joining, your name at the end of every video, and more, then consider supporting. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.